Hello everyone. It was a lovely intro video. The visualization was really great. You always keep pushing boundaries and look beyond. So, I'll share my presentation. Let me know if you can all see it. Yes, I think it's visible. Good afternoon, everyone. We are here today at the 16th Pune Design Festival, and the theme this time is Beyond. Last year, we had a theme named Now, which was very apt for the isolation period where we could just think about the current present times. But now we have the theme as Beyond, where we can actually look ahead of our time and come up with interesting solutions. And that's what designers do. So it's perfect. And first of all, thanks to all our sponsors. And we'll begin our session with a great panel today. I'm honored to have our panel. We have Subrajit Gosal who's a senior executive design at Incubus Consultants. He's the youngest amongst the panel and actually has a great experience in a variety of fields: handmade products, spatial experiences, strategy, and product design. So uh, the next we have Narendra Ghate, who is one of the founding members of the design consultancy division of Tata Elxsi and has more than 24 years of experience. That's almost 6 times of my personal experience. So it's great to have you here. And he's currently the chief designer at Tata Elxsi Bangalore. We have Amit Deshmukh, who is uh, the HOD of HOD in Space and Furniture Design at MIT Institute of Design, and he has been working in the education field for quite a long time, and it's an honor to have him on the panel as well. We have A. Bala Subramaniam, who is the director and of the Institute of Design at J.K. Lakshmipat University, Jaipur, and uh, his experience in design and his contribution in education has been like has been a lot since then. So we also have another panelist. We're waiting for him. He'll be joining us shortly. That is Thomas Dahl, the who is the head of design and director and dean at Strat School of Design, Bangalore. And he has an experience of over 25 years and has 10 years worked in transportation industry, 6 years in strategic design, and more than 4 years in education. So it's a interesting panel here with us today, and I would now like to come to our topic, the main topic, that is Gen D. So Gen D, so the D obviously stands for the generation design. And if we think about it, like if we think about the word design, what comes to our mind first? Is it arts, aesthetics, sketch, decoration? Is it planning or functional, or is it related to creativity only? So it's usually misunderstood a lot in everyday language. So let me take you what is design in my experience and in the industry. So, well, a designer's job is like making nutritious food taste good to give an experience. Well, it's just me. I actually mean is uh, so a well-designed product is functional as well as beautiful, and it's something which is so user-centric that we have to bring smiles on the table. Well, correlating food and design has been evident in our sessions back 3 days back as well, where Tom Adal also took an example of biryani when he explained the design process. So I took a chance to have an example related to food. Let me introduce myself. I'm Kaushal Dabak. I'm joining here from ADI Bangkok. I'm an automotive designer and strategist. Have been more than 4 year experience with Honda R&D currently, and have been fortunate to have worked on multiple uh, projects which are out in market. So let's dive deeper into design. So, design is actually about understanding the users and their needs, developing insights, thinking about different solutions, making prototypes, and producing new products which meet the user's need. So, you might have got an idea. So, it is something which is extremely user centric, and that is something that also leads business in a different way. So, if you so what is like a good design if we have to think about it? It's user friendly, of course. It's functional, efficient, simple, safe, attractive, desirable, and iconic, just like the pencil that you see in the image. Uh, so a pencil has been around us, like, and it has been iconic for like quite some time. And uh, I think it's a really good example of a good design. I think we have Thomas joined us here again. I already introduced him. So, what all is designed? Just look around. I think everything, like everything around us is designed. The phone you were just carrying or looking at, the interfaces on it, the coffee cup, or even the coffee inside it can be considered a product for a few companies. And also the shoes that you're wearing or the cars you aspire to buy. Also, the COVID test kit that you just use to test yourself. And so everything around you is designed and it's so user centric. And not just in artificial world, but something that is designed is also in nature. Nature in itself is a design guide and the most inspiring well-designed system with no waste policy. So it always keeps inspiring us all and drives us towards sustainability. So since design is such a vast topic, it's simply classified in three main sections: industrial design, communication design, and experience design. Today, we'll be focusing more on the industrial part. So, as it says, industrial is more focused on the physical product or something that is manufactured or is a part of an industry. Then we have communication design that is more about uh, conveying a message, or you can say the corporate identities like logos, branding. Also, films and video animation can come under communication design, and magazines, posters, and there are so many examples of it. Also, there is a third section that is experience design. Actually, if we go to see, experience has been a part of both the domains, industrial design and communications. But as the design industry is growing, experience design has found its ways in different areas as well, where we have mobile apps, interactive games, with the new augmented reality and virtual reality coming up. Experience design has found a very important place in and is now described as a different section altogether. So let's dive deeper into industrial design. So that's our topic for today. So it comprises of product design, and what is product design is actually something that starts with research, ideas, and innovation, and we actually spend time sketching products. Sketching is like the most effective communication tool that is very fast, and you can just doodle and show your idea. So that's why we use sketching as our tool, and also you can observe many things around you and come up with different innovative concepts while you sketch. So product design varies from a toothbrush to an electronic equipment. So it almost covers most of the spectrum when it comes to product design, and uh, and that's why a designer has to be really versatile. We have furniture design, we have toy design, which is also very unique, where you have a user that is so small in age and size that you have to consider so many different aspects. We have packaging design that is very important when we have because it not just helps attract customers but also starts an experience when it comes to a product. We have handicrafts, which is I feel very important in terms of Indian context as well, because we have traditional handicraft methods and systems being run for ages, and we really need to preserve them and evolve them in today's industry as well. And my favorite, because I have been part of automotive design, transportation design is something where we have uh, something that helps you move, travel. Everything that helps you travel can come under this category. We have automotive design, bus, train, aircrafts, so many things. And being a designer, we rarely get a chance to flaunt our sketches. So it all starts from sketching, like doodling and coming up with ideas. And then we have photorealistic sketches that actually be the design guide for the products to launch. And not just Honda, but we also have uh, this done in all the other car companies that which are even famous brands. So that's why most of the cars look beautiful. It all have been sketched by hand, and also these are some of the official sketches from Mercedes, BMW, or Ferraris. So everything after being constructed on a sketch, we have to build it into a CAD model or a digital model process, which is also very important, where we realize it on our computers. And one of the very important aspect of automotive design is clay modeling or physical modeling. Every car you see outside is actually carved out by some person or the other. That's why it has those finishing touches, and that's why it looks so beautiful in real scale. These clay mock-ups are usually covered with Dynoc, or we even paint it sometimes, and they look super realistic that you can't make out the difference whether it's an actual car or just a prototype. So, so now you must be must have a question about how to become a designer. I would say in current times, a formal design education is a must. It's my personal opinion. Like looking at the competition and what the world is going ahead with, you really need to understand different aspects of design as you grow, and an education institute will definitely help you grow. And what to expect from a design education, the most exciting part, because that's what most of the designers are driven to, is like we don't have exams. Yeah, we do have exams, but we don't have the formal everyday exams that we have in our regular traditional institute. Instead, we have juries where we have to present our concepts or the products that we design, and we are being evaluated whether we've applied our knowledge in our projects or not. So it's a part of practical education. So it's very interesting, and where a person really has to involve rather than memorizing things and writing on a paper. So it's a very different type of education, and most of the passionate people who are into design would love it. And so basically, coming to practical education, we have to work in teams. Collaborating with people is a must. And we have posted sessions, we brainstorm on ideas, and we also try to sketch in different forms and use different mediums to communicate. We also build prototypes. So it's all a part of design education, and where it's the one incubated chance for students to actually explore different mediums. So let's go beyond. Let's go to the panel, the industrial design. We have a great panel. I'm honored to have them all. So let's begin. So actually, I feel that uh, in a young age, people are really confused whether they should opt for design or not. So what are the key attributes one should find in themselves that they can say, "Oh, I'm fit for a design as a career"? My question is towards Mr. Narendra Gate. Uh, I would love your perspective on what are the key attributes you should look for as a designer.
So okay, let's see what whether the panel and rest of the people agree with me or not. But
Yeah.
I don't think we should start with the assumption that there are certain people or certain students who are preordained or have a gift to become a designer. I think designer is way of thinking, and everybody can be a designer. So I mean, you don't ask your mother whether I can be an engineer or am I fit to be an engineer. You sort of either know it, or if you go for it, you can do it. So I feel you should not really judge or start your thinking in terms of whether you feel advantaged as you have something that makes you a better designer. So that's my first point. But having said that, you might like being a designer, or you might like what it is to think like a designer, and that is something that would enable you to enjoy a career, or really allow you to work hard without feeling really stressed about it. So yes, it is important that you are able to judge whether you like being a designer or not. And then, to your actual question of what you think could be certain qualities or could be certain aspects that you could look at to feel whether you have that advantage or you feel that you have the mindset or not. Uh, See, essentially, I think if you like to observe things, if you notice things, if you notice how things work, if you notice how things behave, if you like to explore, uh, if you are a risk taker, if you don't need everything pre-specified before you can start a task, even if you are slightly nimble in terms of how you think and how you observe things, then it will be easier for you to be a designer. In terms of skills, yes, of course. If you like sketching or if you like just working with your hands, putting things together, whether it's Lego or whether it is something else, all of that, of course, will help and it will be an advantage. But it is not a necessity. I mean, after 24 years, my sketching is still terrible, so I won't really say that is the pre-qualification criteria. So those that was quick 3 points that I thought I should contribute.
Yeah, so basically to sum up, you have like more on the skills are something that can be developed over time as well. It can be a plus point if someone has it at the beginning, but I think the main point that you mentioned was related to ready to experiment new things. So where a person is ready to explore and enter a path that they don't know whether the result will be out or not. So daring to go in that direction
Yeah,
is
I mean, if
something.
you think about what designers do, 99% of the things that we do are new. I mean, they don't exist and they have to be created. So, which means this ability to want to make something new, want to make something that doesn't exist, should come naturally, or you should like doing it. So then that's a good starting point.
Yes. And it is something about, like you also mentioned, which earlier, there's, it is something that can be also acquired, about like how the way of thinking in design that can be acquired.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what is,
I'm quite strong about this exclusion kind of a mindset where only certain talented kids can become designers. The rest all should just become engineers or doctors. I mean, that's not true. I think design is for everybody, and if you look at it as another good profession that you can really enjoy, then or succeed, then you'll automatically open up towards becoming a designer.
definitely. So Subro, what is your opinion? You have a variety of experience in different areas of design, and what do you think should be the attributes of a design student?
No, no. What Narendra has mentioned is something I totally agree, and I think it's a lot on the feel of this whole out of the box thinking, or something which is, sometimes even if you're not in the regular direction of thought, sometimes could trigger this direction that, hey, should I consider design as a profession?
Yes.
I mean, totally. I mean, what generally ends up recurring in amongst a lot of these students who aspire design is that, they think a little bit about the skill they've been drawing from childhood, or a little bit of craftsy thing. Oh, my son keeps on making stuffs or doodles a lot, and hence should take up design. Is not really the
It's not really
criteria.
that.
End of the day, a lot of skills are some things that can be built up even at the design institute, but it's ultimately the thinking process. It's how you think, how you are ready to explore, because design again covers a wide variety of subjects, and you really need to, sort of bind them all together. And ultimately, there is something which I feel also is like a cherry on the top, is a little bit of sensitivity towards human beings, or anything that they are actually trying to cater to, because that's something that differentiates anyone from a designer, where, a lot of it is service, a lot of it is someone uh, probably aiming towards, to offer a solution or something. So I feel that sensitivity, if it is present, it helps really well.
Yes, very interestingly said about sensitivity towards the customers and designers. And also the earlier part, which you agreed with, Narendra, is about like stepping into the unknown and looking beyond. Like that's what our theme is. So it comes together when we think about it that way. And so, but well, right now, as we say, like, okay, it is more about the thinking aspect, and skills can be developed over time, or maybe they can be a plus point for someone who is starting with good skills, but it is basically skills are something like a communication tool. So what do you think, being design such an open-ended field, is a degree in education important as a designer? Amit, can you answer that?
Yeah, surely. I think a formal design education definitely helps because it's given in a structured way. But that's not the only thing that it is. As Narendra rightly said, that there are certain skill sets that are there. Now, either they can be nurtured through a very structured kind of a education system, or the practice or the industry is the best way to again nurture it. Only the thing is, it will be a longer duration, and it depends on the individual how he delves into it. So, definitely, a structured education will kind of mentor you, will orient you, will give you different kind of exposure. So that's the way I will put up a structured education system.
Yes, so basically, a structure of in education will be like a guiding thread for most of the students to evolve. And because maybe in creativity they might go haywire and they need some structure to it, and definitely it provides a good platform with mentors and faculties. But what about a degree? Bala, what's your opinion? Do you personally need a degree in education when it comes to design? How important is the word degree in our field? Can't hear you. I think
Bala,
you're.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Yeah. So although I run a design institute, I still believe that degree is only paper. Finally, by the end of the day, you should be able to do design on your own. See, we have now learned that you can learn on your own through YouTube channels and Zoom sessions and things like that. So anybody who wants to be a designer can definitely become one if you do it on if you do on your own. The degree helps in getting you jobs, but if you want to be a designer, you don't need a degree. The degree helps in placing you in a structured whatever hierarchy. And so if you are a graduate who graduated 5 years ago, then you know the kind of salaries you can command and positions you can get,
Yeah.
and which will not come to you if you don't have a degree. I mean, you could be a good designer, but if you want a job in Hero, you will not be able to get it. You know,
Yes.
so that becomes a problem.
So yeah, basically it helps you get into the industry when you have to do a job, or maybe when people will take you seriously if you have a degree in that way, if we can
No,
say
people will
like that.
take you seriously either ways.
Yeah.
It's the profession that the professional job seekers will need a professional degree. So that's where the use is.
Yes.
I know
It's,
several people who are not graduates of very famous institutes, but they are very good designers.
they're good designers.
Yeah,
Yes, because they have experience over time and they have gained in
and they've
practical
gained knowledge on
education.
their own. Yeah,
Yeah, on their own, with their own passion driven.
right.
Mostly they might have come up through entrepreneurship or in that area, or maybe they develop skills on job somewhere else from a
No,
different.
very often they in an environment which is very enriching, and so they learn on their own. So if I've seen, for instance, artisans' children,
Yeah.
the way they learn being in their environment. So
Yes.
so similarly, if you are in an environment where such things are there around you, so that can also teach you. It's a
Yes.
matter of you should have the attitude to learn. You can learn it either in a college or in a workshop.
Yes.
The
Yes.
attitude to
Definitely.
learn is very important.
Yeah, I agree. And considering handicrafts, that is something has been developed over generations, and it's rare to find an institute teaching how to get into handicrafts. So that is something that you only learn through your experience and your environment around where you grow up. My another question about is like you also mentioned about education online, because everything is available online, and how has the pandemic affected? Thomas, can you answer about like how is has the pandemic affected education and design, and uh, your opinion on whether
So,
online education is
yeah,
going better?
so design is something that is difficult to teach online. Of course, there are part of the design you can teach online, but most of the design need to be experienced, and shown. Like when you're drawing, you can see someone sketching in front of you and try to reproduce what somebody is doing, but you will not have the exact comments. You will not have someone teaching you how to put your elbow, your wrist, how to lock your fingers, and all this kind of stuff, how to position yourself toward your sheet. So all these details, this is for drawing, but it's for a lot of other things where you need to have a real interaction with a human being near to you, and showing you and discussing with you and arguing with you about things. This is how design is taught. It's not it's not engineering. You don't read a book and you're a designer. In engineering, you
Yeah.
can learn formula like that. So online is good because it has given to some institutions the possibility to access very high skilled persons who can speak, discuss, and argue with the student to open their mind from different part of the world. But there are some part of design that can't be taught online. So there are good things and bad things that have been happening since online. Let's speak about the positive ones. The positive one, as I mentioned, you got access to super good skills all over the world. And of course, there is some tutorials for the skills that you can have, for the software that can be taught online. But most of the real deep thinking, and we were discussing about that, design, there is a skills and there is a thinking. And the deep thinking is not coming from courses, it's becoming from interaction with other people by discussion and something like that. So this is really need to be done inside a group at least. I don't say in an institution, but it can be in a cafe, once a month, but it needs to be done with people around you to discuss deeply. And I think on a forum, it's not working because you can't have this kind of arguing on a forum. It's one after the other. It's not
Yeah.
really this kind of mess that learn and teach you also to be a good speaker, to be a good person in the conference. So yes, there is a lot of things
Yes.
like that.
So maybe online you can learn different tools or softwares, but in design you really have to work in teams and brainstorm together. That is something that you miss on when you see different people doing projects around you. You get inspired and then you do even
Yeah.
uh, things together. So that kind of education.
Absolutely. And when you were saying that you can learn the tools online, that's true. But it's still, not as fast as if you are in a class where everybody is telling you, oh, what did he do? And then the guy near to you is saying, hey, he did that like that, and he's showing you on the computer. So even the teaching online is not as fast as when you are all together, having the same goal and working together. There is this peer-to-peer and this inertia that comes from the group that is there that you don't find so much online when you're alone in your room and doing your stuff by yourself. This motivation, this push, this race, this friendly race, this friendly competition. And I'm, not a competition to fight the other, but just to have fun and I
Yeah,
can show
as
you,
much.
you can show me, and all this kind of stuff. This is something that is happening in the group. And I think design need groups, and not
Groups.
online groups, more than
Yeah.
institutions.
Yeah, exploring together and being a team and a healthy competition always helps in
Absolutely.
design. And Amit, what do you think? How can online? Because during pandemic there were, I think, one or two batches that have been
Yeah.
graduated during the pandemic. So how do you think were they able to? How did the institutes counter to that? Like, were they able to form groups and do things together?
So initially, definitely it was difficult, and I think, as Thomas rightly put in, what was missed out into that was the peer learning, because design doesn't happen just between the mentor and the students in that way. You learn from your peers, you learn from your seniors. So that was the thing. But on a positive side, the way we used to take courses, it became more structured, okay,
Yes.
in the online mode, because there are certain sessions which definitely need to be planned. So if you look back into the design education, many times it tends to become very intuitive, based on the mentor's kind of feedback and whether to take it as a positive or a negative, that's up to see. But I think that kind of a factor definitely happened, and the hands-on learning suffered a lot, because specifically, since we are in the industrial design kind of a domain that was talking, industrial design definitely needs your hands to feel the form, make the things. So maybe students were able to make certain models, but the feedback that is expected onto it was not coming properly. So yeah, again, a positive and a negative both happened in that.
Yes, I remember spending days and nights in workshop, trying out
Absolutely.
different forms and studying different things. Also, we used to stay in a group in a workshop, and that's an environment they must have missed. But I also think that during this period, instead of the traditional tools, they have young students have explored digital tools. There
They
have
have.
been like introduction of open source softwares like Blender and which are polygon based, where they are more focused on coming up, developing forms in the digital platform. And maybe the pandemic has moved in the industry in that direction very fast. but I also feel that in some areas they miss on the traditional ways of doing it, and they cannot fix their design, and they try to go very fast into the 3D process. What do you think, Narendra, about like getting into the digital phase very fast? Then uh,
See
I see
the
that in today's times.
yeah. Yeah, so I was a very avid Alias user. So Alias Wavefront, which is you'd be using it in automotive.
Yes.
Uh, the very important point which people forget is you cannot let the software lead the design, which means just because certain commands are easy and a corner gets built very easily because you just have to click one button, hence all 3D shapes ka one particular corner starts looking similar because it's like a shortcut. So what's happening is you are not thinking of the shape, you are not first firming up what it should be and then doing it, and that is a problem. So you should have very high skills on software so that you can push the software to create the shapes and the surfaces and the designs that you have in mind, rather than somehow finish something because you're not fully capable on software. So if you go to 3D very fast or very early, then what happens is you will start compromising on your original ideas and just start doing things that are possible in the software that you think.
Yes, I often remember like reviews that we used to get, like you're missing the sketch essence that you had in your key sketch in your, it's not translated in your model, is what, like it's something that every one of us in the design field often gets a comment when we have our reviews. So I think that that is very important. But in recent times, we have also seen people not even sketching like at all, like putting things on paper, but they just have an idea and they start exploring on directly on digital tools. So are the institutes also promoting that, Bala? Do you is are the institutes also going in that direction where they're pushing people directly into 3D to explore new things? You're on mute, please.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
No, see, we are a very young institute. We are just 3 years old, right? And out of which only 7 months were offline. The rest were all online. So we are
Yeah.
more of an online institute than an offline institute, actually. So what happened was, we at the seventh month of our starting, we realized the pandemic struck, and we said, okay, it'll get over. We'll do it in a week or two, or 10 days, or 1 month max. Then we realized, no, it's here to stay. So we have to quickly start being creative about how to teach. So we quickly learned things, and but what there are certain things we kept as sacrosanct. The learning outcomes are sacrosanct, which means you have to turn around the assignments in such a way that the learning outcomes can be achieved even otherwise. We realize the fact that you can't interact. Peer learning is something which I believe in as well. I agree with Amit. And I used to say that in NID, the walls are teaching design, because you just walk through the corridors, you learn design. There is no need for going into a classroom, etc. Because you go at every 1 foot distance, you'll meet somebody who will tell you something, or you'll see something you'll understand. So and that's a very important part of design education. So we realized that, and what we did was we started what is usually called as the flipped classroom, where you learn thing you we give them things to do as assignments, and reading material and watching material like YouTube videos, etc. And then we said, you come to the class now that you've learned on your own, let's
Yes.
discuss what you've learned. so
Interesting.
so that made a lot of difference. So we did kind of innovated in a lot of ways like that. So for instance, we did projects on Miro board. So on Miro board, you really collaborate. You are there. Every person is there on the board, and you can collaborate and make changes, and make improvements, etc. So we discovered that's a very good way. In fact, we continue to use Miro board even though we are now offline, because we realize that it's a very easy tool to use, and it's collaborative, and whatever you've done is already recorded there. It's not like it's going away. So
Okay.
we have a history recorded as well.
So,
So
so
so it's a
is it
very
like a
useful tool.
shared whiteboard? Is it like a shared whiteboard online?
Yeah, it is like
How does it work?
no, it's a large whiteboard. It's got a lot of tools. So, for instance, if you are making something, somebody can put a sticker there and say that, this corner is not right,
Yeah.
or say that, this color looks better. So, and then somebody can put a visual saying that this is the way we want things. So it's exactly the way you will, four people sitting on a table discussing. It will exactly like that, only on a flat white background and on screen,
Yes.
and it works very well. And so we discovered my Miro board, and so that was very useful as well. The
Interesting. So
the
so
other
with
thing is that we had the other big problem was materials. How do you do material exploration? So for every linear material like metal wire or something like that, we found a equivalent which you'll find in the household or in on Amazon. So
yes.
for volumetric material, we used Play-Doh and M-Seal and things like
Oh,
that. So
yeah.
you can make forms out of M-Seal and figure out things as well. So for us, it was a very creative exercise, for faculty, and the students enjoyed. In fact, there's one batch in the three batches that we have, which has done the entire foundation online, and it's one of the brightest batches actually. So we have cracked something there, I think. Uh,
Yes, that's a very interesting point of view. And using like frugal innovation, using different materials that you have around and playing around with it is something that all designers we try even in institutes. But if they are able to do it at home, it's very interesting. Like MSeal, also you have to do it very fast at things. Like the material has its own
Absolutely.
properties, and but it is permanent once it's done. It's like a stone. So I
Yeah.
think it will last really long. So what about Subro? What do you think in office spaces? Is the same thing going on? Like, do you have the same kind of methods being used, like for mind mapping, online boards, and how are you doing?
Sorry, I didn't get your question again.
So my
Could you?
question is like, do you use like online, like because the world has been online for quite some time in a
Mhm.
professional world? How have you experienced that period? Like, are you on the same lines how the institutes have moved for that period into using
Absolutely.
online mediums and things?
Absolutely. I think Miro, what Bala mentioned was one of the new interventions that sort of was introduced to people's life as much as Zoom or any other online platforms.
Yeah.
Right at the starting of, I think, the first phase itself of lockdown, and along with that, I think what we really insisted in our teams, at least, that we discussed.
Yeah.
That's something that got really missing, because we were so used to working together that we would just turn our chairs and just get back to a meetup and discuss something and again get back to work on some of the other project. So we actually made sure we constantly repeat that, even if it is online, because that discussion is very important in design. Because even when one constantly works on a certain project, sometimes it gets really so monotonous and you move in one certain direction. You really need someone else, or maybe some more people, to give you some thought process. Hey, why not, have you thought of that? Wasn't that your wasn't that particular line the different direction that you could have thought about, or something like that?
The completely different thread. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
it sparks new
So
ideas, like when you have such
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
discussion.
So it's a
And
lot of collaboration, and you need that. So it worked well. I think.
yes, that's interesting. But like when it comes to education, like, and to learning things online, and also people are trying to come up into design institutes by just getting a preface of design earlier from the things they learn online. So, what do you think? How should, like, taking back to education, how do you think students should build their portfolios, or do they need a portfolio before entering an institute? Like, what about you? What was your take when you entered NID?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, okay, probably since our system sort of follows a certain structure, it might get a little easier for the design institutes to filter the students that
Hmm.
way. But in terms of students really require a portfolio to join a design institute, I think the institutes themselves have a very rigorous admission process.
Yes.
So if you've gone through it, I'm sure they nail it. So So that itself should suffice. And but yeah, I mean, presenting one's work is never bad. So you can always pull up a collection of what you do and what you are up to.
Yeah. So Thomas, what do you think about this? Like having a portfolio before the entrance exam, is it prerequisite for Strat? Like, what do you do?
Thomas on mute.
Oh, yes, Thomas is on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so strats, we don't have, we don't have any exams as well to enter strats. We do only interviews for the reason that has been shared before. What is important in a designer and a thing that you can't really teach, they are a little bit inbuilt from your parents, your surrounding, is how you think and how you perceive yourself inside the world and how you understand the world. This is, I think, the basic, the basic that is going to make you easy as a designer or having some very difficulty to be a designer because your education is easy to bend a little bit, but you can't make a U-turn. Skills, even if you start from scratch, in a good institute, you will have good teachers. They will teach you, whatever. I'm saying, often, by joking that give me a monkey, my team will teach him how to draw, because we've got very good skilled teacher. So, no, we don't need a portfolio to get into strats, but not really. Actually, the portfolio as a skill, assessments of the students is not necessary because we don't use the portfolio to assess if the student is good in drawing or not, because actually we don't care. Because as I mentioned, we will teach all the skills, Photoshop, and that. Of course, it will be a cherry on the cake if already the student is super brainy and understand the world and understand how to articulate the world, and is super skilled in all this 2D, 3D drawings and things like that. Of course, it's a plus. But basically, what we do in Strat is we use the portfolio as an excuse to discuss with the students and to try to find why. Why did you do that? What is the reason behind it? How did you do it? Why didn't you choose this media instead of this one? What did you want to, what is the emotion that you try to go to? So the portfolio for Strat is more an excuse for the discussion and to discover who the student is than a real assessment of yes, no, the guy is skilled or not, in or out. It's really an excuse that we use during the interview to say, okay, you've drawn this lady that is crying. Why is she crying? Why did you do that? Do you feel sad? And what is the sorrow? And we use it to really dig into the personality of our students in order to really try to understand who they are, where they stand, and what they want. Because this is, I think, what is an institution is supposed to do, is to try to understand who the students are, what are the aim, and to see if the trajectory that they want to do is a matching with what the student can, the institution can provide.
Yes. So basically, portfolio helps you assess the mental thought process of basically a student at an early age. Like maybe you can question on that.
Not only the process, because process is something. How did you do it? What are the step one, step two? This is one part of the assessment of the portfolio. But mostly it's also about emotional. What are the emotions? What are the idea? What is the thinking behind it? To try to understand how the person decided to tackle this project with this specific project and in this condition and not another one. How is, what is his sensibility toward ecology, sustainability, business, money, political problems? And you try, thanks to that, you figure out who the person is and how they are understanding the world they are living in. And I think this is what's making a good start for a designer, is to understand where you are and how the world works around you. And then you can, it's a good beginning, a good seed, I would say, to become a good designer.
And so it's interesting. And a portfolio basically provides some tangible material for the student to share what their passion. So it can be in any form. It doesn't really need to be like a regular.
Absolutely. And one of the problems of portfolio that I see when I'm making some admission interviews in Strat is that most of the students are required to do 2 watercolor drawings, 1 perspective, 2 points, 1 perspective, 1 point, this much of sketch, with hands, this much of sketch with markers, and then they need to do 1 character, 1 poster. There is a lot of things that are ruled by some very well-known institution, and everybody wants to go there, so they are doing the portfolio. And you don't see, a portfolio is supposed to be showing who you are.
Yeah,
So,
it's
so
a
I very
reflection,
often have,
natural reflection of your passion.
yeah, so I really have to very often ask, Thomas, what should we put in our portfolio to go to Strat? Say, whatever is representing who you are, and that's going to help me to understand who you are and why you do things. So it can be, pasta necklace, it can be sculpture, it can be, I don't know, making some hair colors to your friends, some makeups for Halloween. It can be anything that you can speak about that is going to help me to understand how you are creating things and why you are creating things. And then this is what a portfolio should be. Instead of having, all the robotic portfolios that are all the same, because since coaching institutions are helping us a lot, are narrowing down to some, typical way of making a portfolio. And sometimes students are just robotically doing what is asked, and you don't feel the personality of anyone inside
Don't
this.
feel the
And this
passion.
yeah, the passion and also the personality.
Yes,
The
yes,
personality, if I
personality.
want to do a portfolio made of newspaper, and with ink and not ink on it, nobody will allow me to do that because they will say, no, if you do that, you will be out of some, highways. You can't show that to anyone. Nobody will take you if you do that. And this is problematic because personality is not shown.
Yeah, so this is one point of view for the portfolio viewing. Like this is like one end because where you start your education, and where Narendra comes from, it may be like the other end where a person is graduated from an institute. And what do you look into a student in the portfolio? What's is it similar, or what's the point of view?
It's completely different, and I completely agree with what Narendra has said. There is a portfolio to enter an institution that doesn't need to show skills because skills are going to come through the institution. But after that, you've got the portfolio where you to get you a job, where you need to showcase what you can do and how you do it. And this must be very well done, very well structured, and you need to showcase your work. It should be very perfect. It should be, it should give confidence to the employer of what you're going to be able to do for them as an employee. And then there is a big gap between the two, and the goal are completely different actually.
Yes. So it's like a shift in personality once you enter an institute and once you're out. So
Not
yeah,
really personality. It's a shift in
in,
what you showcase.
yeah. How do you yeah?
It's a shift in what you showcase, but the personality should be there and it should
The
be shown in
original one
both the
should
portfolio.
carry on.
Yes.
Yeah. Narendra, what's your point of view on this? Like
Yeah,
a portfolio in a company, like what?
yeah. I
How,
think Thomas has said it brilliantly, and I totally agree with what he said. I want to add to one point that he was talking about, and then I will answer your question.
yeah.
Uh, like I agree with everything he said. It's just that if you're trying to get into a management college, if you're trying to get into an engineering college, you put in effort. You sort of, nowadays you spend almost a couple of years trying to sort of go through the various training or learning so that you can get good marks, all of that. So entering into a design college should not be very different from in the point of view of the effort or the mindset or the intent that is needed. And if I have to come to Strat or come to any college and show that I'm a keen student who really wants to do design, I also would indirectly be saying that last 1 year at least or 6 months, I've been really thinking about design. I've been trying to sort of, want to be a designer. And if I want to now represent my intent and my keenness to be a designer, then portfolio becomes one way of showing that. And yes, Thomas is right. It need not represent my skill, but it should represent my thinking. It should represent my personality, and it should represent my yeah.
Yeah.
Now coming back to, let's say, if you want to join Tatlix, or if you want to join any company and you are from a college, right? So there are two aspects. I mean, I'll give one tip for any student who's listening and who does portfolios post graduation for jobs, right? Uh, and I have seen this many times. Believe me, in my 25 years, I must have seen hundreds of portfolios. Right? I look at the first, let's say, slide or first page of a portfolio. Very good. Second, awesome. Third, all right, brilliant. And it could be product design, could be automotive, it could be UX, whatever. So I said, yes, this guy. I mean, I think we should definitely talk to him or call him in. Then there's a fourth page, which is okay. Then there's a fifth page, which is pathetic. Then the sixth page, which is not such a good work. Then there's seventh page, So suddenly you realize that this guy has just collected all his work and dumped for here, and he's not able to judge his own work. He's not able to judge what is good work and what is not good work. And that the way it translates for me as a, let's say, a design leader or a manager in my company, is that that means this guy will never be able to take his decision in terms of what is good, what is bad. Every time I'll have to keep telling him that, do this, don't do that, do this, do that. So ability to have an opinion, ability to be able to defend your opinion, ability to have confidence on your opinion is something that is very important for a design graduate or a designer who has a mindset, like I keep saying, right? So when somebody comes with a portfolio, uh, they should put in their select works that they are really proud of, and that should be the point of discussion that I can have with him. And at least in LXC and other companies also, we have wide range of domains. So we have right from UX to automotive to everything. So you need not tailor your portfolio just because you think you're joining a particular company and hence you need to only put UX work. It's okay. If you have some great product design, great branding work, put it in, because we are looking at your ability to think and the skills that you have acquired over the education. And we know design skills are very fungible, very flexible. I can, as a good designer, you can apply it across different domains. It's just some hand skills and some software tools that you have to learn, which you can anyway learn, and that's nothing that we check, right? So that's my opinion on portfolios for jobs.
Yes, yeah. Tools keep on evolving. You should be able to show your best thought process and convey it in the best way possible when it comes to a portfolio. So, yeah, one thing you mentioned about it looks like a collection dump. We often see a progression in design when you have students. Like they will have some projects in their third year, they'll have something on their fourth year, and by the time they graduate, they'll show the progression. Okay, I was this, and then I have developed to someone in my last project. So, what do you look into it in that
Sorry, I
way? Or,
mean, I don't have the patience, or I don't have time
yeah,
to
you
see
don't
how
have
you
time.
have
Okay.
become better over the years. That is fine. I mean, that is expected. But now, when you're looking back at your own work 4 years before, right? It is you today, and it is your today's ability that we are judging, and your today's you should be able to realize that what work you did 4 years ago was rubbish. So why are you showing that?
Right,
So,
exactly.
so
Yeah.
that ability, like I said, it's the ability to judge what is good and what is not good, and that is difficult. That's not easy. I
Yes.
would like to know what Thomas and Supra and others want to think about this.
Yes. Yes. So, bro, you have any opinion on this? Your mic is on mute. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
Thomas.
can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So I agree. I mean, the fact that you have transited over time, come on, you have to also understand that at a time there are like at least a minimum, say 50, 60 portfolios that come any
Mostly,
day,
yeah.
and you're watching it over, say, 3 days or max 2 days of a time for a manager. And at that time, to really understand and be very passionate and emotional towards your journey, uh, I don't think
Doesn't
so.
make
So even for a fresher, when you're looking at it, I think it's very important to state what you are currently or what you're currently able to do more than the journey. I mean, it might be interesting for the institute or when you're applying abroad or for masters or something, but not really when it
in
comes
job.
to the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
and
just
but the portfolio really matters. So you
Yes.
must make the collection as elaborate and try and portray whatever really portrays and connects to you.
Yeah.
I'll just add one point as a man from the
Yeah.
industry here. Uh, See, I would really appreciate if somebody has gone back to their work, or let's say student project when they were at the freshers or first year foundation, and now they felt passionate about it or spend time to really improve it and do another version which is much better, and then present it. And that really shows that he cared about work he did and he wanted to improve it. I mean, that's a great attitude to have.
So
Yes. Yes.
Narendra, you asked me about what I thought about this. So I agree
Yeah.
completely with you. In Strats, when we are guiding our students towards a portfolio, we've got three levels of portfolio. The first one I discussed with Koshal is the one that you got when you enter into the school that is not absolutely skill based. It's just
Yes.
showing your way of thinking and how passionate you are about what you want to do and how much work you have put to try to get it. Okay, so this is clear. There is the one that Narendra spoke about. That is the one that you're going to showcase for your job, where you need to be neat. You need to showcase only your masterpieces in a super nice way, where everything is clear, crystal clear, and that is self-telling. It means that when you see the documents, you don't have to have a voice over telling you, oh, I've done this because of that and because of that. No, everything should be visual and understandable on the document itself, because recruiters don't have 5 minutes to understand a page. They just flip pages one after the other, and you need to be eye-catchy and truth
Very
and
fast.
storytelling by themselves. So these are two
Exactly.
ways. But there is still a third portfolio that is needed when you're studying design, we feel in Strat, is the portfolio for internship. The portfolio that you do during your student life, where you are trying to be as an intern, showing your companies, the companies that are going to take you as an intern, where you stand, where you were standing a few months ago, and what is your learning curve. If it's a flat learning curve, interns might not be so interesting because you know where you will get them at in the beginning of 6 months, and you know exactly where they will be in 6 months,
Six
and
months.
it's not interesting for the company. But if you showcase a learning curve that is going steep, then for companies, it's like a raw diamond.
Yeah.
You know
So
that you're going to get them in
form
at
you, they shape
level.
you. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
and you know
yeah.
that if you put enough energy into this, at the end of the 6 months, the guy will have delivered so much that it will have, of course, in terms of education, create a gap, but also deliver to the company. So there is three portfolio in a life of a designer. Actually, there is four, because there is one for when you reach a management level.
Yes.
So you don't showcase your work, but you just showcase the consequences of your work. Because I monitor this company or this team of designers, the CA of the turnover of my company did this much, okay? But if you go back to the internship one, is the growth is very important. So one is for integrating a school. Second is your internship portfolio where you show the growth. Third is you are neat and you can showcase the company that you're a super well operational designer, that you can deliver super good stuff, and that you can think and do and communicate your work.
Yeah.
And the third one, when you, a few years after, when you become a design manager, how your work has influenced your team in order to make the business of your company higher. So these are the four different type of,
Nice.
portfolio that a designer should carry all along the career, according to me.
Yes. It's very insightful actually, like to understand different perspectives of portfolios. We'll also we'll take some questions from the Q&A. We have Sky Morrison who has an interesting question which is very unique in itself. So, how do you deal with gender issues in design education? And in design education, it comes with institutes. Are there any gender issues when it comes to design education? Amit, do you have any experiences regarding?
Yeah, I think gender kind of ratio. I think the ratio has been changing, and we have more girls coming into design in that way. And I think there is no discrepancy in terms of the output that they deliver. So definitely there are choices to certain disciplines in terms of certain gender biases. But in terms of their work, in terms of deliverance, I don't think so. We have found any issues in terms of that. So yeah, I hope I have answered the question.
Yeah. So yeah, in institute it doesn't bother much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. So also there are very unique questions usually students of that in the age group when they're entering an institute they have, like when they mention when Thomas and even Bala mentioned about the portfolios that students make in the before getting to an institute. Some people take it really seriously and they also have doubts whether they should join coaching classes before design education, formal design education, and how important is it. So who would like to answer? Any? Oh, Bala, yes, please.
I have a very strong opinion about this.
Yeah.
You know, I believe that coaching classes are ruining the entire talent in this country, because what is happening is you take a talented kid who is keen on joining design and you templatize him into making one perspective, one mandala, one fashion sketch, and one color sketch is atrocious. So what happens is you have reduced the guy's instinctive talent to a template. And and you are telling him that this is what, I mean, he, poor guy, doesn't know what is look what schools look for. And the guy gets I mean, tends to believe that these guys know better, and they have a record to show. And I can tell you this much, that if somebody has gotten through a coaching institute, it's only because he's originally talented. The coaching institute has not added any value to the student.
Yes.
And this is something which nobody understands. And I know several kids who have shown a portfolio and shown some in work on the side, and amazing talent. So I asked them, why didn't you show this earlier? And this has happened with me as a student. When I went for an interview, NID interview, I was told you can bring anything, photographs, sketches, models, anything like that. So I had a little model of a heater I had done in my electrical engineering class, in school. And it was made out of glaxo tin, and there's a the coil was placed on top of that, and I had to put a plug and everything. So I just thought I'll show it as something which I've done on my own. I
Hands-on
went
work.
I
Yeah.
went for the interview. There were, and this is in Delhi, and there were these fancy balsa wood aero modeling done by students. And I said, what am I going to show this in front of all these? So I kept it aside and I never showed it in the interview. I
Yeah.
took it along with me and I didn't show it at all. But now looking back, I realized that I should have shown, because that would have added to my value, because I had used frugal materials and I made a model out of something that was available around the house. And I'm sure several people go through this angst, because you think this is what the portfolio is all about, but that's not true. And I think the students should realize that we are looking for talent within, a passion to excel, and if you can demonstrate that, that's good enough. It's not a skill test that we're looking at.
Yes, yes. So I really like picked up the word template. It's so well put in that situation. Like, because if all the students get into one single template, it's like actually ruining their unique aspect and their own way of going about things. And design is also about process. And usually during our education, we are experimenting with different processes in design by our own ways of going around to do a project. And usually,
See,
it's,
yeah, the
yeah, that,
ability to learn is very important. If you can
yeah.
demonstrate that you are a keen learner, that's very important, and that helps in scoring, as opposed to showing. Really, the mandalas is the ultimate whatever, lowest common denominator.
Perfect.
Can I add a few
Yes, yes,
lines? Yeah.
yes, please, yeah.
In fact, a few years we have been finding kids who go to the coaching classes and then they realize that everybody's things is coming same. So they stop going to these things and they don't show whatever they have done in the coaching class. And that work is amazing because that's their original work and it
Yeah.
really shows what they are.
So basically, even if someone like actually, it's up to the coaching class as well, that they should be able to nurture the original value of a kid rather than putting them into a template and getting all the assignments done in a go, because that's a template usually being followed in other domains of careers and not in design, because design is where you find your own way rather than following someone. So yeah, I think that's very, like, that's something that's ruining our kids today. And I think also there is a misconception, or I don't know whether, like, how to put it, like people also have attraction towards like studying abroad and coming back, or something. What's the scenario is the design institutes abroad, and what's the difference between the institutes in India, and how are, what should they choose? Should they go abroad for education for
So
their undergrad, or what
yeah,
should,
maybe
what's your
maybe I
opinion?
can I can give a good insight on
Yes,
this.
perfect. Yeah.
So strategies both in India and in Paris, and our students are moving from India to Paris, Paris to India. We are doing some mix like that. in order to make them approach. So being international now is something that is very, very in demand in the design, in the corporates, because there is, there is different design. There is, as you mentioned, there is a design for art and crafts, to help the Gujarati artists to grow and things like that. So this design is specific on, working in Apple is something completely different. Okay. Yeah. So in order to reach this industrial corporate design, I'm going to speak about this mainly because this is where the salaries and where the international face of the design is more important. This is very in demand. It means that for example, let's take Apple because they are big. Okay, when they are designing an iPhone, okay, when they're designing an iPhone, they are not designing an iPhone for India, one iPhone for Asia, one iPhone for Africa, and one for US. They are designing one iPhone that is supposed to tackle all the difference of culture all over the world. And it's the same thing, for the grinder mixer of the big brand, for the television of Samsung, and all this. And in culture, there are some big gaps. There are culture where red is the color of joy, and other where red is the color of death. Okay, so there is a lot of difference in culture, and there are some mistakes that have been done by big companies before. And having a designer that is exposed to different culture is going to be very important. Not that they are going to understand the culture, because I'm in India since 8 years. I don't understand India yet, and I'm not going to claim this. There are still things that I don't understand, things that I start to understand a little bit, but I'm not able to design something 100% for the Indian market yet, even after 8 years. Okay. So I'm not understanding India, but I'm understanding that India is different. And already being able to make our students understand that there is not only one truth, but there are many truths, is something that is very open-minded. And I really believe that this is where the pushing our students to go abroad, not for studying their bachelor or their master, like everybody wants to do a bachelor in India and master abroad. I think this is not necessary. You can do a good study in India with exposure into international by having teacher coming or going to internship abroad, but you need just this exposure. And the more it will be vast, the more the student will understand that, okay, there is not only one truth, and red is not red the same all over the world. And as eating with hands in France is really disgusting. In India, you have to eat with your hand because it is the culture. So this is truth. In France, they are true to do that. In India, they are true to do that, but it's completely different. And understanding this is very important. So that's why this difference is there. In terms of design education, I think the process of are the same. With internet and everything, is a process, the structure, the doing this, the 3D, the tools is mostly the same. So there's not a big difference. The only difference by studying abroad or in India is the exposure to new culture. But the quality is the same. We've got very, very nice institutions in India. I'm not going to name all of them, but MIT, Shrishti, NID, UID, they are super great schools. And Strat, of course. But they are super great schools, but you don't need to go abroad to study good design.
And actually, it's so well said about you have to explore different cultures. Even in India, it's so diverse in itself. Like even I graduated from ISD, so in that period, we had students from France coming to our institute to study, and they really enjoyed studying in India, and they came up with really interesting results after their education. So it's not just about the location. I think it's more about also, it's your own way of interpreting things. And I think all the institutes are up to the mark these days, even abroad. And we can often see this in awards, like student awards. We see many students from Indian institutes getting good awards globally. So I think it's we are bridging the gap very fast.
As a foreigner, when I look at Indian students, I'm amazed because I think Indian brain is much more creative than the European brain, and I'm going to just explain this. What I feel, okay, it's a theory from me. I think in India, every 5 seconds, you've got something that is happening to you that you need to tackle. There is something new. A guy, you're on a motorbike, some guys do some crazy stuff in front of you. You need to react. You need to find a creative solution to save yourself. You're in your house, the pipe is exploding. You need to find a solution to solve it right away. So all
Yeah.
these situations are happening every 5 seconds in India. Where in Europe, everything is quiet and calm, so you don't have to worry, and your creativity level is not triggered every 5 minutes. So Indian brain is trained to find solutions to
Yeah.
problems. And I think that students in India, and I'm amazed because even the one that comes to our school with no training in design, they are creative about, we call it frugal innovation. Sometimes it's not super smart and looking with business and things like that, but the ideas of solving, if you do that on that, it will work. Yes, indeed, it will. And this is crazy. So I think the brain, the wiring is more creative than in other parts of the world. I've not been
Yes. Yeah.
everywhere, but from the one
Yeah.
that I know.
I can't agree more. We have something called frugal innovation that we see
Yeah.
even in the villages, that we locally call it jugad.
Jugaad.
And yeah,
Jugaad.
yeah, there have been a lot of research done on that in design institutes as well. Uh, People do find solutions when they come to come up with some design new designs in the market, and it definitely helps. So yeah, so actually, there's also a question in students is like, is how should a person actually choose an institute? Like that's a difficult question for all the members in the panel who are a part of an educational institute. So I would definitely first ask Subro, because how would do you think you would choose an institute before getting into design?
Okay, I mean, it is indeed a very difficult question. Uh, how would one really choose? Okay, so well, how I can think is probably look at the institutional offerings. During my time, I mean, I personally had an option of three or four institutes that I could choose from. And now there are many more, which is brilliant. But what the student could first, I mean, there are, multiple layers to this. The first is probably just to understand what the institute is offering and what they really are looking out of it. So a lot of students are even confused as to what discipline they would actually finally focus on. Because design, especially for undergrads, is still at the first level. It's open to everything, and then they move into a specification. So it's to do with the opportunities. I think the second layer of it is also prioritizing based on some other factors like availability, and I'm sure not every institute will also be available to you. That's another thing. So that also will fall into some level of prioritization.
Yes.
But today there's fairly enough amount of chances, and one should explore quite in detail before really making that choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's like now you have so many choices. Maybe back
Yeah,
then when we didn't
yeah.
have that many choices when it came to choosing a design school. Yeah, there is also a very traditional approach in that age group. Like when you're in 11th and 12th, people often talk about getting jobs after your graduation, and they are really worried about it. And being into a design institute, you usually explore your own path. So there are different questions that have come up, like are there campus interviews in institutes, and how important are they when it comes to design institutes and getting
Yeah.
placed? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
to that, I would just probably just bring in one of the lines that my dad said recently, and not recent. It's been some time now actually. That you designers, when we actually put you in these institutes, thought that okay, if the institute is decent and has good placements, you will end up getting a job. But when jobs are also being offered, you are the ones who decide not to take up one just because you don't feel like taking it.
Yeah.
And I had to justify, where a lot of it is to do with how you enjoy a particular profession, how you
Yeah.
enjoy a particular style of work. It can be at a scale, it can be a startup, it can be a middle stage studio, or it could be a multinational company. So it's all a lot on how you want to place yourself and what you want to do.
Yes, yes, I can't agree more. So Narendra, what's your opinion on this? Like,
See, I feel design institutes should trigger the passion. They should really, ignite the spark in the student, and so then the path will follow in the sense of whether so he doesn't even have to join a job. He can go exploring. He can do photography. He can do whatever he wants. Uh, but this ability to realize that this is going to be my way of life and this is my calling, you sort of discover your calling in the college, and the design institute should sort of encourage that to happen, which means exploring among students, exploring different domains, exploring so many things that could happen, giving them assignments that might be outside what they thought was their domain, uh, sending them off on some research in some village and getting some important. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is the student life in the college or in the education institute is, I mean, for me, it was my best years of my life. And I think for all of us, I'm quite sure our student life were the best. And that's the way it should be. The colleges should really, encourage that. And I'm just sort of adding a couple of points on the earlier question about how to choose an institute. And since I'm not from an institute on this panel, so maybe I'll just sort of passionately say this.
yeah, actually,
But the point is, and I'll just sort of come to it slightly in a roundabout way. I mean, when I was studying in IDC in IIT Bombay, we knew and we were told that the IDC education was most expensive per year than any other education in given in IIT Bombay, whether it is computer science or somewhere else, right? Partly because the student teacher ratio was so high. We were 16 students for 14 faculty. The amount of materials and the physical studios that we had to use, the photo labs, the print labs, everything was state of the art and everything was expensive, right? Which means per year the money spent on us, in my case, luckily by the government, was much more than in any. So coming back to your question, how serious is this institute about design education? How much have they really invested in some of the infrastructure? How well are their teachers and instructors? How good is their equipment? How so all of that really shows the kind of passion the institute has towards design education, and it is no longer only a sort of a business or some kind of a commercial activity. And that campus is one, again, not everybody can have great campus, but you sort of create that environment, you live in that place, and hence you start thinking like this, like the walls of NIT, like somebody, corridors of NIT, like someone was saying. So that's my point about at least having some kind of a weightage or points on this aspect when choosing a design education or design college.
yes, I remember. Like, also one important part about design education also has about practical education. Like, when I was studying, I already had worked with different companies during my education, like with partnership projects, and they mentor us. So in that period, it's not like a direct placement, but that's the point where you also interact with your industry while you're studying. And maybe that is also one area how institutes can not focus on the campus placement, but something how gradually a person can develop their connections and understand how an industry functions and get into their
Yeah, this. So I have
Kushal,
a slightly controversial opinion about this. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
if I may
please,
answer to
please,
this,
Thomas.
because I really have a strong opinion. Since I'm here as a designer, and then I shifted 4 years ago to start Strat, so I'm discovering all this education, business that is there around, and I'm taking part in all this. Show, where you had to speak in front of student of 12 about your school, and you listen to all the schools, and every speech is perfectly rounded, showcasing some very beautiful labs and saying that the teachers are the best and the equipment are the best. I'm doing this as well. This is part of the game. You have to market your school. Okay? And I know some schools that are showing some super good labs that are closed, to the students, because you should not damage a machine. There are institutions who are showing some very big rooms, where you can draw on the wall and that, but nobody is allowed to use them because, so, there is a big difference between the marketing speech of a school and what's really happening inside the school. So what I'm telling to all the students that are applying to Strat is that you can go to Strat or not, I don't care, because what I'm asking you and what I'm advising all the students to do is to make their own homework. And the homework is to get in touch with the students of every institution they are looking for to get the truth behind it. Because I can claim that I've got international teachers, I've got very good materials, I've got a big lab and things like that. But what is the reality? What is the ground behind this? Are my teachers good? Is my lab open or closed? Do I have a swimming pool that is just dry because I closed it 5 years ago because it was too expensive and I used back pictures of 5 years ago? What is the truth behind it? So now, by speaking with the students that are actually inside the school and not the alumni of 20 years ago, but the students are inside the school, by finding their name on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, you can very easily do your research. Then you will know what institution is doing what for real. And by speaking with the students, you will also discover the way of teaching of the school. Is it a school that is teaching like very teaching? Is it super open? Is it teaching visually? And you will find yourself. On this, I would like to go to the coaching center question as well. Coaching center missions should not be to make you get a portfolio like with skills on a mandala and things like that, but try to help students to understand who they are, what they do, and what they want to do. And I think if this was tackled well by the coaching centers, then the discussion of finding an institution will be very easy. Because, as we mentioned before, there is a lot of good institution of design in India. There's a lot of not good as well, but inside the good ones, we are not. They are not doing the same thing. There are some that are very arty, crafty. Some other are very industrial. Some other are more IT oriented. So we all have different orientation. So when you know who you are and the way you want to be teach, are you visual? Are you more? You need some frame, or are you completely a crazy open mind? Then it will be easy to find. This school is the one that I need. This school is the one that I need. This one is the one that I need. It will be easy then. But this is missing, and I think if we manage to do this well, it will be easy for the student. But yes, my very deep advice: ask the students that are
Yes.
actually inside the school.
Definitely. So I think it's very clear that you should visit the campus or talk to real students who are actually studying in the institutes and see with your own eyes what things are happening, and that's the best way to judge an institute. I completely agree on that. And well, our talk can go on and on. I have so many questions in my mind, not just related to these, but we have a time constraint. And now I would request like first of all, I would like to thank all the panelists to give their insights on the particular topics and good direction for the students who are going to apply in the design institutes further, and also people pursuing design career currently. So I would first thank you so much. I hope you all got a chance to speak up your mind and express your opinions freely. And so now I think our next phase is about like we have three campuses that who would like to show their institutes. So that this is also one way that students can see their campuses online and experience them with the digital medium. So first, I would like to invite Amit from MIT, and then we'll have Bala from JK uh, Institute, uh, and then we'll have Thomas from Strat. So we will all have 10 minutes each. So please keep to the time so that we are not delayed and everyone gets an equal opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. So for MIT Institute of Design, I'll start with a film, audio film, and then I'll
Sure.
commence with the presentation. So I'll just share. Just give me a second.
Thank you very much.
I add value through my products. I am an animator. filmmaker. I develop trends. I transform designs to reality. I create environments. I translate stories to furniture. I design experiences. I'm an immersive media designer. I design mobility. This is not only a design institute. This is a design lab. Join us in our design movement.
Okay, I'll just stop sharing. I'll share the presentation now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so MIT Institute of Design is part of MIT ADT University Pune, and MIT ADT University has been established in the big campus. So in this, we have many other institutes. We have engineering college, we have marine engineering college, uh, and lots of more those things. Okay, so this is the campus which has got awards in terms of top private university under engineering category. There's 5-star rating, it's the best campus, and got 26 ARII Atal ranking institutes also. In MIT ADT University, we have two clusters that is there. One is the technology cluster, and one is the art and design cluster. So within technology cluster, we have MIT School of Engineering, Marine Engineering, Bioengineering, Food Technology, Management, Vedic Sciences, Leadership, and MIT School of Education and Research. And in the creative cluster, we have MIT School of Design, MIT School of Architecture, we have a Sangeet Kala Academy, we have International School of Broadcasting and Journalism, Film and Television Institute is also there, the School of Applied Arts, and the School of Drama. So the vision of MIT ADT University is basically to amalgamate art, design, and technology education in terms of creating a multidisciplinary research ethos. So at MIT ADT University, we have it's very innovation driven and entrepreneurship driven. So there are two major verticals or programs that we have. We have MIT ADT Kriya initiative, wherein student projects are taken and developed, incubated to a certain level. We also have a Atal Incubation Center, which takes in again these projects further and launch it into a very successful startup. We have Institute Innovation Council, IPR cells, research consultancy cells. Now coming to MIT Institute of Design, it's a part of MIT.
Are you switching slides? Because right now we can just see one slide. Can everyone see the slides being switched?
Oops. I am
yeah.
switching slides. I think.
Okay. Yeah. It's on slide 1 right now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'll just quickly go because I have moved into 4 or 5 slides in that way.
You can start from the slide 5.
Yeah, I think I'll go with that. Okay, so at MIT Institute of Design, I think we were founded in 2006. So again, we have certain vision and mission statements that we have. So basically, we look into developing future-ready professionals, and through that is what the education is entirely focused on to. So as you know, it's established in 2006. It's the base of the design minds in the country. It has 11 design disciplines. It has PG, UG, and PhD education that we provide in terms of design education. We have 70 plus faculty strength, state of art of labs and maker space that are there. We do design consultancy projects. We are globally recognized, so we have reached in that way also. So there are around 1400 plus design students. There are 5 verticals that we work with: industrial, communication, experience, fashion, and management. There are 10 BDES programs. There are 11 MDES programs. There's a PhD program, 70 plus full-time faculty members that are there, plus more visiting faculty members from India and abroad. We have 15 plus international collaborations. We have 500 plus industries on board. 1000 capacity of twin sharing hostel facilities are there, and 125 acres of residential campus is what we have. So programs offered are within industrial vertical, we have interior space and furniture design, we have product design, we have retail and exhibition design, we have transportation design. In communication design, we have animation design, we have film and video design, we have graphic design, we have transcultural design. In experience design, we have user experience design, we have immersive media design, which is only a MDisk program. And now from August 2022, we are starting a very unique program in MDisk, which is design academics and research. So which will look into developing design educators for the field of design. So we also have fashion as another vertical where we have fashion design and we have fashion communication. In terms of management, we have design management, it is only at MDisk, and fashion management and marketing. Apart from this, we also have a diploma in automotive sculpting and clay and digital, and we have a PG diploma in innovation, which is also there. So there's a big leadership team of HODs from various backgrounds in various disciplines that are there, and this kind of a environment where people come from different background kind of nurtures the students in a better way. So we are leaded by Professor Dr. Anand Chakradev, who's Pro Vice Chancellor Art and Design Cluster and Dean Faculty of Design. Professor Dhiman Panchal, who's a big name. Chair, he's right now Chair Professor, Professor H.K. Vyas Design Chair. Professor Dr. Nachiket Thakur, who is Director of the Institute. So we have founded Professor H. Kumar Vyas Chair. Kumar Vyas sir was the founder, member of the MIT Institute of Design. And as per his philosophy, this chair's objective is to engage into research and contribute to the advancement of knowledge and design. So within this only is what that MDisk program has been initiated. So basically, it also kind of looks into initiate the research and design education to design and execute capacity building programs for teachers and design education. So that's another big domain that we are looking at, the void that is presently there in the industry, that there are no design faculties that are there. So that's what this particular design chair kind of focuses on to. So the aims and objective, we have centers of excellences. So we develop ecosystem which helps for fundamentals and applied research, establishes credibility in the minds of stakeholders, that is student, faculty, and the industry. We evolve possibilities to take up institutional projects also. So right now, these are the kind of center of excellences that we are looking into. Some have been established, some have been initiated. So we have automating sculpting, mixed media experience center, HCI interaction lab, media research center, CFD, parametric and generative modeling kind of excellence center. Bamboo initiative is already established, designing for children, craft support center, designed for society, immersive lab, and camera obscura, which looks into photography, print media, and things like that. And we have a tie and dye printing lab that is. So definitely contact us at MIT Institute of Design. That's what we are. And as we rightly said in the discussion, visit the campus so it clearly states out what things are there and what things are not there. Yeah, I'll stop sharing.
Perfectly on time.
Yeah.
Yes. So, you have anything more to say? That's it, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. Okay, great. So the next session is from Bala for JK Lakshmi Bhai. You're
I'll
student.
just start. Yeah.
Yes,
Thanks
now you
for
can.
giving me this opportunity, Kaushal. I'll just start my presentation. Okay. Why is it not showing my file?
Is it a
Browser is not permitted to share screen. It says.
or is it Chrome?
I'm in Chrome.
Oh, oh, is it a PowerPoint or a PDF file?
It's a PDF.
Can you just select PDF file and try doing that instead of share screen?
Okay.
Still not. It's a technical issue. Oh, I think. Okay, let me.
Okay, found it. 1 second. Works.
Yes, I think we can see your presentation now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, rather. So we are a very young institute, as I mentioned earlier in the panel discussions as well. We are only 3 years old. Started this institute, we were very clear that we had at an advantage because we are starting in 2019. Because we can make corrections, we can do develop courses which are more relevant for the current year and current scenario, and have a contemporary culture. And so so these are uncertain times. The pandemic is raging, the planet is in crisis, the economy is badly hurt. So we need a visionary mindset to set for long-term strategies, and we need a visionary mindset for creative and immediate solutions. So this requires a special kind of problem-solving talent, and that's the new kind of designer we want to create: technology-led, collaborative, socially conscious, planet-centric, ethical, and interdisciplinary. So what are the new age programs that we have at the Institute of Design? We have product design, which is in 4-year undergraduate and 2-year postgraduate. The program is people centric, and it really follows the credo that product design is not meant to contribute to conspicuous consumption, but to solve problems. And we kind of believe in that credo, and so are our students. So this is a part of the working from home kind of situation. So they did projects at home using Amazon cartons and developing ATMs and printer designs. And 1 second. We have interaction design, because we think that's very current and everybody wants an interaction designer. And so we decided to start a course which is not just dealing with UX UI, but also deals with device to device interaction, device to user interaction, user to user interaction, and develop a full-fledged course of 4 years in interaction design. And that has worked because we've been able to build a course which is very socially relevant. So we have projects where we designed apps for the elderly so that their medicines can be monitored. We redesigned the user interfaces in current for apps like and Arogya Setu, etc. We have a new course called the interdisciplinary design. Now, this is a new course, a new program, as in it caters to the breadth of design, and it creates a T-shaped personality. So you do a variety of projects and in a variety of areas, but you specialize in one based on your choice. So this gives the student the the strength of to learn a variety of things, and yet be able to specialize in one area. So for instance, the startup industry comes to you, and they want to get a product design, the package design, the web design, website design, and an app design. They can't go to several designers. They'll rather come to an interdisciplinary designer who will be able to handle it. And so that's the way we have figured out the program. So they do exhibition design as well. They do graphics and logos. Why is it not working? Okay, it's a little slow.
That's right. Yeah. Now we can see.
Yeah. So and they do packaging design. This is the tea packaging done for the railways, and so it works for the Aam Aadmi. We realized we started only with 3 programs. The 4th program we're adding this year. And we realized that communication design has changed. In fact, Shiva Viswanathan had mentioned earlier in the panel discussions earlier the other day, saying that graphic design has completely changed. So we also realized that you can't have a current scenario being different. We can't have a program which has been taught for the past 60 years. So we need to reinvent the program. And so we created what we called as an integrated communication program, which deals with new age concepts like data and ethics and program, and more digital than less analog. But we call it pencil to pixel. We do cover the entire area. So that's why the integrated uh, uh, s- moniker to it. And so they do packaging, they do other things as well. So what happens is, because we have very different programs. Like for instance, we don't have fashion design, we don't have interior design, we don't have transportation design. We have very popular courses, but we realize that there are people who are doing it well, and let them do it. And let's focus on programs which are relevant, and focusing on what will be relevant 4 years from now when my students graduate. I think that's very important. And so we have a wide variety of courses the students choose from, and there's a choice-based uh, system where they choose courses, and because of which the whole place is enriched with programs. So I'm just quickly running through this so that you get an idea about the kind of courses we have. So our faculty are very young, and they're from mostly NID and IITs and Milan and places like that, and that helps because they are very committed to the students. They are 3 a.m. Friends, because when they call up, they're available and interact. We have a galaxy of visiting faculty who are the who is who in the industry, and we managed to get them on board, even though our sizes are small, and the number of students are small. And okay, I'll quickly run through this. So we have blended learning, which I told you we are more of an online institute than an offline institute, and we practice learning by doing. We have what is known as anywhere, anytime, any size learning. So we have long-term projects, we have short-term assignments, we have weekend master classes, and so there are all kinds of sizes, and students learn this. We have what is known as the dear time, where they drop everything and read, because we want to encourage students to read. And we have an excellent set of books donated by Ranjan's family, and so we use that as well. And the critiquing is something which we kind of really enjoy, and the juries are done by visiting faculty who are from the industry. And we have an Atal Incubation Center which takes the ideas to business as well. So so we have the MP Ranjan Design Resource Center, which is basically a set of his personal books, 1,600 of them, and with his notes and in the margin, etc. We have labs, makerspace, workshops, and studios, just like everybody else. And but we realize that the infrastructure is not as important for us, because the students have learned to study frugally. Yeah, that's the end of my presentation.
Great. Yeah, it's perfectly on time. So thank you very much, Vala.
Yeah.
For our
If you have
next,
any questions, I'm willing to answer.
uh, right now, we haven't received any as of now. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the next session, we have Thomas for starting
So
to do
thank
that.
you very much. So I'm going to speak to you about strats. I'm going to give you a presentation of what we do. So I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. Okay. So hopefully it will work. Is it working? I'm just going there. I'm going there. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to speak to you about Strat. Strat is not only Strat Bangalore because we are really working like a network, like a neuronal network, where all the strats over the world are connected together. So I'm Thomas. So I'm basically not an academician. I'm a design manager. I've been working since 25 years in different industry, product, transport. Experience design, interaction design, whatever. So, and I came to the education industry to start this school, Startup Design. You will see it's a very important point in the rest. So in Strat, we believe that design is not a job. Design is not a job. Design is something that it's a life. It's a way of life. You know, like karate is an art of life. Design is also an art of life. You know, when you're an accountant, you start, you know, your day as an accountant. When you go to office, then you do your accountant work, and when you go back home, you stop to be an accountant to do something else. Okay, design, you don't do that. Design, you're a designer from morning to evening, during your vacations, during your holidays, you're always a designer. So we've got a definition that is our own definition of design in Strat, is more than a profession, more than a discipline. Design is a transformation force field embodied by demanding professionals, readers, and thinkers of complexity, and producing sustainable experiences, providing beauty in human lives. When we are speaking here about beauty, we're not speaking about the physical beauty, we're speaking about the philosophical beauty, which can be the inner beauty, the emotional beauty, and everything. Okay, so this definition is very important because every word is very, really important to understand the spirit of Strat and the way we teach. So we spoke about this during the discussion, during the panel. We really believe that having an exposure to international culture is very important, and it's very important to the development of our students. That's why we've got, you know, syllabus. We've got one syllabus that is the same all over the world, but different campuses all over the world as well. So we've got Paris, Singapore, Bangalore, and Lyon. And we have just opened something in Dakar, in Africa, you know, the Paris-Dakar. So in Dakar, in Africa, a small interaction program there that is going to expand. And we are looking at opening Mexico as well very soon. So the possibility for students to travel and going all over the world is going to be huge. So this is Singapore. I'm not going to go over that. This is our campus in Bangalore. So it's a very new campus. It was supposed to be open 1 year and a half ago, but you all know that COVID struck. So we are in this campus only since October, end of October. But then in January, you know, we have been locked again. So it's been only 2 months that we are in this new campus. This is a 60,000 square feet campus that has the particularity of being engineered and designed by a designer, me in this case, with a specific education architect to be a design school. It means everything has been set in this building to be a design school. It's not a building that has been transformed into a design school. Everything has been conceived to be a design school. And we've got here at the back, you can see my arrow, the residential hostel for the students, for boarding students. Okay, this is the first batch that came with us, that trust us in 4 years ago, because Bangalore, Strat Bangalore only started 4 years ago in 2018, so in July 2018. So we are a young school, very small school. This is Lyon. This is Strat Lyon, the second biggest city in France. Okay. About our curriculum. So we are doing a BSc, MSc in design. So it's not a BDes, MDes. But as we discussed during the panel, you know, graduation is not the most important thing in design. The name of your paper is not very important. What is important is your portfolio, and we will discuss about this. And we are giving our students the opportunity to get the bachelor and a master from India, as well as certificate from France. And if they do another small, quick program in France, they can also get a master, a second master from France. Okay, so there is a lot of opportunity in terms of graduation, of doing several things together and having an international certificate and graduation in once. So this is very interesting for students. We don't have a lot of different departments. We are focusing on 5 departments, which are very specific. You know, Strat, we are dealing with them in a very different way from what I've seen in most of the other design schools. I'm not saying unique because there are other schools that are doing the same thing, but most of the design schools are not. So we are treating mobility design in a way. So mobility design is everything that deals with transporting goods or persons. So whatever the mode, car, bike, truck, bus, helicopter, yacht, ferries, whatever. This is mobility, and we are not looking at how to design nice-looking vehicles, but we are thinking about how is going to be the next step into this. The transportation world is completely changing. There are autonomous vehicles that are going to carry your package, for DHL or for Amazon autonomously. There are drones coming. There is a lot of big change that are coming. And the transport industry itself, the mobility of persons, is going to go through a huge transformation. And this is what we are looking for in Stra. This is what we are teaching our students for, not to style the new Porsche or whatever only. Of course, they will be able to do that. This is part of the skills. But to think beyond that, we are speaking about beyond. This is the theme of this Pune Design Festival, but this is what we do. Beyond just the transportation design, mobility design. After we got product design, you all know what it is. It's designing everything, all the objects that are surrounding us, and we are dealing with everything. So here we are focusing on being useful, beautiful, and responsible. Again, here beautiful is not only in terms of physical aspects, aesthetic, but beautiful in the philosophical way, emotionally and connective and interaction with the object and so on. So and we are teaching students. It can be, to do furniture. It can be to do watches. It can be to do a lot of different things together. Okay, this is product design. After we've got an identity project, an identity department, which is not visual communication. Identity is really something beyond that. It's really, tackling every touch points that a brand have to connect with its users. Okay, a brand is connecting with its users through the websites, the social medias, the posters, the photography, the packaging, the notice boards. The notice when you buy a project, everything. The retail shops, the uniforms of the sales force, the action of the sales force as they come to speak to their customer. All this is part of our brand identity course. It's really to enforce the storytelling of one brand toward their customer. So it's really huge, and it's tackling a lot of different touch points. So it's something that is very, very interesting and very much in demand today. We've got after that interaction design. Interaction design is not UI UX. It's much more than that. It's about all the ways people are interacting with each other, but also with machines. When you're interacting with coffee machine, the machine is giving you some feedbacks. There is a click when you push the button, there is a light when there's no water, and all this is called interaction. Of course, there is this basics interaction with basic machine, but you've noticed that everything going digital, all the interface and all the products are becoming more IoT connected. And it's going very, very much into a real interaction with your products. And also there is all this digital era for the apps and the websites that are there. So how to make more easy and more enjoyable and more gamified applications in order to keep the interest of your users. But we are also here again in Strat going beyond that, because there is a Mark Zuckerberg has started, the Meta. So the world is going to fall into this 3D world, and there is all this AR, VR, immersive technology, voice recognition, haptic recognition. All this is there. And in Strat, it's been now 5 years that we are focusing mostly on designing this, because how are you going to interact with an avatar in the 3D world? What are going to be in the real life? You've got eye contact, you've got shaking hands, but what is it going to be in the 3D world? So all this need to be invented. It needs to be created. So we need some designers to think about it, that knows the technology, and this is what our interaction program is all about. So it's really, really focused on what's coming, and not about what's already there. So it's a very interesting program, and we are having a lot of connection with the industry about it. We are doing also space design. So not space like the rocket ship and things like that. No, space like dealing with space where people are evolving, like office space, something like that. So we are really looking into not architecture, it's not interior design, it's a mix between interaction, architecture, space design, interior design, everything mixed together in order to enhance the quality of a space where people are going to come, do something, and go back. And all this is going to be tackled in a way in order to make this use of the space efficient and enjoyable for the human beings. So these are the four steps. These programs are very interesting because they are really not just what they say, they are tackling all the surrounding of themselves. Okay, we've got a lot of internship. I'm going to go quick because most of the schools are proposing the same thing now. So there is internship all over the program. You've got 4 compulsory international internship in Strats, where we are going to help the student to find internship in New York, Barcelona, Tokyo, whatever. We are going to help them to do that. In total, you can do up to 17 months of internship if you go to the masters in Strat. And something that is very important to get the spirit of Strat is that our faculties are not teachers. They are experts from the industry, and they are teaching the students how to up-to-date techniques, up-to-date way of dealing with design. And not being teachers are not trying to teach. They are trying to share and to mentor. And the relationship between teacher, faculty, because they are not teachers, and students is really, really different. And this is really, really making a big difference in the spirit of the school and how the interaction and the question of students and the debates and the big discussion that we have with our teacher, with our students is really, really different. We've got a lot of industry coming to the school, so the big names of India are now starting to come to our door to make project with us. We've got like big companies. I can't disclose all of them here, but a lot of companies are asking us to work on project with them. So the designers are coming to the school and following this project with the students for 2 months. So you are not taught by teachers, but really working with the designers of the companies, like in-school internship kind of stuff. So it's really, really, really powerful. We've got big companies coming to the school, and they are helping us to upgrade every year our syllabus to be up to date, to change. Fusion 360 is better than that, so you should forget about Rhino to go to Fusion, and Blender is there, and Keyshot. So everything updating our courses and changing in order to be sure that what we teach to our students is always up to date with what the industry will need in 5 years. Not need today, but what will need in 5 years. Okay, and we are preparing for the future, and also having the industry inside the school is also helping, for the industry to focus and to try to pick, the students that they are interested in, and sometimes sponsor some students. Oh, I want you to work with me in 2 years. I'm paying your study, but you will work for me for 5 years. So this kind of stuff of deal is also happening in the school.
Okay, thank you. So, time up, Thomas. If you can wrap up.
Yeah, I'm wrapping up. If you give me just 1 minute more, I'm wrapping up. And the main goal of all this is just to focus on the portfolio, because as I mentioned, the portfolio is the only thing that is going to give you a job, not your graduation, not the name of your teacher or the name of the institute. It's really going to be the portfolio. So we are putting all our effort towards making sure that the portfolio of the students are going to be representing who they are, what they want to do, and the quality of their level of study. And this is what we are focusing on. We are very proud of that, because every student in a class of 25 will have a different portfolio with different flavor in it and different skills. And we are very proud of that. We are linked with a lot of schools. We've got a big advisory board. We are part of a big organization. We've got admission, you know that, of course. And these are some work of our students and pictures. I'm going to go very quickly. Some projects that we are doing. And this is same thing again, just for a reminder. When you're entering Strat, you're not aiming to be a designer. You will be one of the many possibilities of being a designer. And this is the beauty of it, is that we will help you to figure out who you are when you are in the young stage of your studies, in order to be sure that we are together going to build your path through the 5 years, to be sure that you will find a portfolio and a job that is going to match your expectations. That's it. Some alumni,
Yes.
big guys everywhere. I'm not going to go
Thank
into
you very much, Thomas, for the presentation.
Yes.
Yes. So I hope all the students got some really good insights from all the institutes, and the virtual journey to the campus and the prospects in institutes would inspire you to choose your institutes in the right way. And also, as Thomas and everyone agreed to, was to talk to the people students who are actually studying in the institutes, to understand where you want to go and what you want to pursue. It was a great panel. I got so many things to learn, and also I hope everyone got some good insights as well. I hope you all enjoyed this session. I would love to continue this conversation sometime offline as well, and where we can ask more deeper questions someday, and would like to meet you all in person. And so I would like to thank you everyone for your time and
Thank you.
efforts.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
And Koshal, we come to see you in Bangkok.
Oh yeah, please do visit. Yeah.